Happy Monday, knitters. I'm Louise from Wildflower Wool, and welcome back to my channel. It is another brand new episode of New Start Mondays, and I quite literally have a basket of things to show you today. Let's start, as always, with the finished dishcloth. We'll go over, maybe I'm not quite 100% finished because I apparently am still attached to the ball. But anyways, we're going to call it close enough. Let me put this basket down out of the way. Okay, so we always start every episode with my finished dishcloth from last week. Normally, I try to have the ends woven, but apparently that didn't happen this week. So there we go. There is the raised rib stitch that I made into a dishcloth. Look at that really fun texture. I think when I'm holding it there, you've got a pretty good look. We've got these raised knit columns. So this is the right side, and that is the wrong side, which is, again, like a lot of these patterns, really doesn't look like a wrong side. And it does lay pretty flat. It is curling in a little bit, but it's not too bad. I think this would make, again, a great pattern for a scarf. I'm actually thinking and wondering if it would make a nice textured for a summer top. So that may, I'm deciding actually right here on the spot as I'm talking to you, I think I actually might try and do that. I think it would look kind of nice. Anyway, I may play around with that. So, as you can tell, this is dishcloth number 2 out of I Love This Cotton, dishcloth cotton from Hobby Lobby. I have got enough in here that I should be able to get a third dishcloth. I haven't weighed it. That will tell me. Usually it takes about 27 grams, I find, to do a dishcloth that is about this size, which is about a 7-inch square is kind of what I aim for, 7 to 8 inch square. Now does anybody have a favorite dimension for their dishcloth? I find I don't like them too big. I don't know. I think I would rather err on the smaller side than too big, I think. Anyways, this is kind of what the size that I've been kind of going for. Dishcloth number, I don't know what, because I can never seem to keep track of what number I'm at. But I know I'm still ahead of the game on my weekly dishcloth knitting. And I'm going to try to jump even further ahead this week. So I will type this pattern and put it in the drop down box below here. It is only a 2-row pattern. It is a knit through the back stitch. Knit through the back and a purl through the back on the 2-row pattern, and it's not too hard. To be quite honest, I found this one just a little bit harder to get my head wrapped around the 2-row repeat. It wasn't quite as simple as some of the other ones that I've shared with you, but once I got, I don't know, a quarter of the way down the dishcloth, I was able to read my stitches, and it was really quite easy to do. So I will share that with you if you want to turn this into a lovely project for yourself. Okay, I'll move right into the other new start that I had last week. And that was that 3-colored Fair Isle scarf. Let me show you. I really like this that basket. So the basket I showed you, that was actually part of my Mother's Day gift. My daughter did a porch drop-off for me and left me that basket filled with all kinds of goodies that included hand sanitizer and toilet paper and Lysol wipes, because right now those are the necessities that every person is needing right now. Plus, she also filled it with some goodies and some treats, which was lovely. She had some of my favorite things in there, which really was a lovely treat. So I sent her a picture right afterwards, and I'm like, did you think I would use this basket for a knitting basket? And she laughed and she's like, yeah, I did. So it works perfect. I actually was using it to hold my sweater while I was working on it this week, and it worked perfectly. Thinking maybe I might need to pick up a few more of them. Anyways, back to last week's new start. 3 colors. This is the Patton's Classic Wool DK Superwash yarn. Remember, I had this purple that is a known, well, I shouldn't say no name. This ball doesn't have a band on it. So I'm going to have to get another ball of each color. So hopefully next week I'll be on the second ball of purple, and I'll try to grab one that has a ball band so I can actually tell you what color this is other than just purple. This one here, what color was this? Apple green. And slate? Nope, flagstone. Close, flagstone. So these are the 3 colors that I picked. And what I showed you, what did I have? A couple of inches done last week. I told you that I knew my tension wasn't what I was liking. It was a little bit too stiff. So I pulled it out and I restarted. What do you think? I actually am really quite happy with the colors. And I like how the pattern is knitting up. Now I can't remember somebody left me a comment. It might have, I was gonna say Kathy, but I don't think it was Kathy. Sorry, I should have double checked so I could. I had your name, and I'm sorry, I've forgotten your name. Anyways, she a lovely commenter had mentioned that this pattern reminded her of the Bargello needlepoint pattern, which you have no idea. I loved that comment because I have this little thing about wanting to do embroidery, and I have collected a few books on that stitch. So I really like the fact that you think that this reminds you of that needlepoint stitch. So look at that. I really am liking this. So I pulled it completely, no, not completely out. I pulled it right back to my cast on edge. And I started again. I was using 4 or a 4.5 millimeter needle for this DK weight yarn. I'm holding it single stranded. And this one here, I went up to a 5.5 millimeter. So that is actually, if I was a 4, so it's a 4.5, a 5, that's a 3 needle size jump. But I like how this is knitting up. Look, there's some stretch to it, even though it still does seem pretty firm, but look, there's some give to it. I like it. And I haven't even measured. I'm not even sure what the width is, but I'm fine with the width because again, I'm looking for just having a long skinny scarf. Probably, I'm going to try to aim for about the same length as the purple mistake rib scarf that I did. And that was, what was that? That was about 88 inches long. So that's what I'm hoping. And it was about 5.5 or 6 inches wide. So I think I'm pretty close width-wise here. I like the width of it. So what I am doing with my 3 colors, so I'm knitting it single-stranded. I have 3 colors that I'm using, but I'm only using 2 colors in each row. And I'm holding 1 strand in each hand, and I'm doing the 2-handed Fair Isle knitting technique. And I am just alternating colors. Every time I come back to my stitch marker here at the beginning of the round, I'm dropping 1 color. I'm moving the color that's in my right hand into my left hand and picking up the 3rd color that had been resting for that round. Work around those 2 colors, and then when I get back to my stitch marker, I drop the color in my left hand, the color in my right hand moves to my left hand, and I pick up the color that had been resting. And I just keep going round and round. There is what the inside looks like. So it is double thickness, it's soft and squishy, and I am happy with this. I like this. I'm going to join the bottom. Right now it is rolled like a rolled edging, but that is not how I'm going to leave it. I am going to save enough yarn, because trust me, I have a lot of this yarn. I can make a lot of scarves. There's no problem of no fear of me running out of yarn. I am going to put a fringe on the bottom here. And I haven't decided. I'm either thinking doing it all purple, or more than likely I'll just do a fringe like this. Just use a strand of each color, I think. I don't know. Maybe I'll do it all purple. Maybe I'll do it all one color. I might do it all purple. I don't. Anyway, we will see. I've got a little ways to go before I decide how I'm going to worry about the fringe. But then that will join these together and there'll be no curling. Simple. This is really fun. This is a simple, well, I say it's a simple pattern, except that when I was knitting it earlier tonight, I did actually mess up. And as I was switching my colors, somehow I didn't switch them correctly. And I got a few rounds knit, and then I came back down to about here, and I looked and I'm like, my colors aren't looking, it looks like I had somehow did a different color combination. So I had to pull it back out, pick up all my stitches, get back on track. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't the end of the world. It was an easy fix. So I'm liking this. I'm really happy. I haven't measured. I don't know how long it is, but I think I've got a fair amount done. So I think this is going to keep in the rotation for this week, because I am having a lot of fun doing it, and it's something that I don't have to count rows. I don't have to, as long as I pay a little bit of attention, I don't have to keep track of what color I'm doing. I don't have to look at the pattern. I can just do it. I can just read my knitting and I can just carry on, which is fantastic. Okay, oh my gosh, I have my sweater finished. I worked really hard on it this past weekend to get those sleeves done. So I'm going to show you that in a minute. But before I do, let's move into the dishcloth. Now this is a little bit of a, well, I don't know. Can I say I'm cheating? Can I say I'm cheating against my own rules here? But I did cast this on before today. I started this, I think I must have started maybe Saturday, Friday night or Saturday, and this is what I did. I was just looking again for just some simple, easy, relaxing knitting. And I cast on my super simple diamond dishcloth out of this big ball of Bernat Handicraft cotton. But then I didn't get it. My plan had been to work this in between knitting the sleeves on my sweaters, but then I got so focused on sweater knitting that this sat. So I'm going to call this my dishcloth new start for this week. This week is all about simple knitting for me. That's what I really feel like. The last few weeks I've been doing some more exciting knitting because I've been knitting sweaters without a pattern and making them up as I go and writing the pattern as I go. I don't think I want to do that this week. This week, I think I just want simple knitting. And my goal, because I'm doing just simple knitting, I'm going to work on this big ball. I weighed this. This is 360 grams of cotton. I'm going to see how many, I'm hoping I can get 3 dishcloths done to show you next week. All out of this blue, because this blue, I have this big ball and I can't do my stitch patterns like the raised rib that I've done, the mistake rib, the bamboo stitch. All of those dishcloths really need a plain yarn, not a variegated, to show off the pattern. So I figured this big ball just needs to be knit into something simple. So, and I also have a little bit of an urge to do some seed stitch. I have no idea why, but I do. So I may just cast on 38 stitches and work some seed stitch in this variegated too. But I'm hoping that I can get 3 balls. So my plan for dishcloth this week, instead of experimenting and trying a new stitch pattern, I just want to see if I can try and get 3 dishcloths done. Quick, simple, easy, and it will top up my number of dishcloths that I will have done. So that's the plan for that one. My second new start. This is also something that I'm pretty excited for. So sticking with the whole theme of fairly simple knitting for this week, I pulled out this yarn. This has been in my stash for, I don't know how long. It is Barocco Touche. There, I'll show you the tag. And it is a 50-gram ball. It is 82 meters, and it is 50% cotton and 50% rayon. So I'm sure, obviously, I bought this at one point to do a summer sweater, and I have lots of it. I have a lot of it. I have this much of it. Plus one ball that I have caked up ready to go. So look at this. I can't even hold it. It's falling. I think there's one on the floor. One caked up is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I have 12 skeins of this yarn. So I have got way more than I need to do a tank top for myself. So this project is exciting for a couple of reasons. One, I'm using some stash that I've had for quite a while. The other thing is that when I was getting groceries a couple of weeks ago, I picked up this magazine. I have a well-stocked stash of knitting magazines over the years. And you know what? I don't know if I've ever knit anything from any of the magazines. I always buy them, I look at them, I ooh and ah over the pictures, and I always make a long list and go, I'll make this, I'll make this, I'll make this, and then of course I never do. So I just bought this a couple weeks ago, and I think I'm going to knit this top on the front cover. So that will be a miracle in itself, the fact that I'm actually making something from the magazine. And the other thing that I'm quite happy about is the yarn. Well, this yarn might be a touch heavy, but I think I can, by playing around with the needle size, I can get the gauge that they are asking for in the pattern. And it is knit with a Rowan yarn, a Rowan cotton, but it is the same yardage in the skeins, so I don't even have to do a lot of math trying to figure out how much yardage they're asking for versus what I have. A ball for a ball from what is the pattern asked for and what I have will work. See? Simple. Don't even have to do any math. So I think I'm just going to knit from a pattern. And you know what? I can't. I don't very often knit sweaters right from a pattern. So I'm hoping that this will be just kind of a simple knit. I can just read the pattern and I can knit. No thinking, no measurements, no gauge and multiplying, figuring out my math and measuring where I want the armholes. None of that. I'm just going to knit from the pattern. And we'll see how it ends up. So I'm kind of excited about that. I've got my one skein caked up. Now I have to do my gauge swatch, obviously. This, I think the pattern calls for a 5mm needle. Is that right? Let me look here. A 4.5. Okay, the pattern calls for 4.5. I think the yarn, it on the ball band, it must have said a 5mm needle. Anyways, I'm gonna have to play around with it a little bit. So I'm not gonna get totally off the hook without, you know, there'll just be no blind knitting here. I will have to do a gauge swatch. This is saying 20 stitches on a 5mm needle. I don't know. I'm going to try. I'll try a 4.5 because I always knit loose. I always have to generally go down a needle size anyways. What does this look like? So it is a worsted weight cotton and rayon. Yeah, I think I'm going to do a 4. I think I'll start with a 4.5 and I'll see what my gauge is because I'm going to need my gauge to match the gauge. No, I don't necessarily. I was going to say this time because I'm knitting right from the pattern, I'm going to want my gauge to match the pattern, but See, okay, maybe I'm not going to be able to knit just directly from the pattern. There's like something that always makes me think, oh, I'm going to tweak that pattern. Maybe that's why I don't knit from a pattern very often. But because what I could do is, if my gauge is a little bit off, I think, because, you know, when you do a gauge swatch, you're doing it for two reasons. You want to measure your stitches per inch for the fit, but you also want to see what the actual fabric knits up as, to see if it's going to be a garment that you're going to like to wear. So there's where you have your wiggle room. So if I can find a needle size to get the fabric that I like, and then figure out my gauge and use the schematic that the pattern shows for this project, I could always knit a size smaller or larger, working with my gauge to get my actual body measurements that I need. Okay, so maybe I won't say I'll knit right directly from the pattern, because we'll see. We'll see what my gauge swatch tells me. Maybe I will be doing a little jiggling the numbers around yet. And there's no sleeves on this. So I'm feeling like I could have this done in no time. So we'll see. We'll see how much I get done this week. So that is new start number 2. A new summer top that if it ever decides to warm up, I will have a top ready to wear. Let's talk about sweater knitting. My blue sweater is done, you guys. Look at this. I am so excited about this. Do I have? Yes. So, blue sweater is done. It has sleeves. I can't see what I'm showing you. 1 sleeve and 2 sleeves. And I did end up switching the collar. Remember last week when I showed it to you, that's all I had done, was I had picked up and I had done the collar. I'm going to turn around and show you the back. And I had just let it be a rolled collar. I had just picked up my stitches all the way around. I think I knit 3 or 4 rows, and I cast off purlwise and then just let it roll, because I was kind of wanting, this is just a drop sleeve shoulder, so that makes it pretty casual, is that what I want to say, versus a real like a set-in fitted sweater. So the drop sleeve, and it was, you know, just a little bit, there's not a lot of ease in this sweater, but I just want it to be kind of not, why I can't find the word. I want to say oversized, but it's not oversized, just comfy, big and comfy. And so that's why I thought a rolled collar would be good. But anyways, there was something, and even when I was talking, I was showing it to you last week, and I was looking at it, and I was like, I'm like, I like this, but I don't know. It was just something about it. So once I got the sleeves finished, I picked up stitches. You can see I did my decreasing here, put some ribbing on the end, and again, I cast off purlwise. And I like doing purlwise just because of the edge it gives you. I find the knitted edge, it's like that, a much more, it depends what you like the look of, and that's all it is. That looks like much more of a solid chain look than just those purl bumps. So I just switched it around. I cast off purlwise, so that's the look that I would have. And I like that look. So I did both sleeves on the weekend, and I was finished, and then I went back and I looked at this collar, and I'm like, I don't know. The collar was okay, but I wasn't totally loving it. So I had purposely left the tail when I cast off. I hadn't wove any ends in yet, so I unpicked that last stitch, and I pulled it all out. I pulled out all the cast off and my 3 or 4 rounds of plain knitting, and I left the stitches that I had picked up. So those were still sitting there, and then I just went around and scooped them all back up again. I think I had to add 1 extra stitch because I needed a number that was divisible by 4 so I could do a knit 2 purl 2 ribbing. So I just added in a stitch, and I did 3, I think I did 3 rounds of ribbing, just trying to count my stitches, and then again I cast off purlwise, and I immediately liked it better. Okay, I don't know, I'm gonna try it on for you. So I'm glad I took the time to take the collar out. And then the thought did occur to me, what if I'm doing, there's something not woven in here. I was gonna say I had all my ends woven, but I don't. Oh my God. No, I don't. Okay, how did I possibly think I had them all woven? Okay, I have them all woven except for where I joined the, did the mattress stitching on the top of the shoulder and where I picked up the sleeve stitches. Okay, well, okay. My dishcloth didn't have the ends woven, and apparently I missed a few ends on this sweater too. Oh well. It won't be the first time I've worn something with ends still attached. Okay, so look it. I am happy. So this pattern, so if you are just watching this for the first time, this blue sweater, there was no pattern. This was one that I did my gauge to garment process where I just took my body measurements, I did a gauge swatch, and I just figured out, I just did some simple math to figure out the number of stitches I would need to cast on. I started at the bottom. All right, how am I going to show you without? I'm going to roll my chair out of the way so I can stand back a little bit. So there it is. I stand on my tippy toes to see. This camera setup is not real good for showing, for modeling finished sweaters. Do my model poses here. Anyways, I am happy with how this looks. The only thing that I am a little annoyed about are these stripes. So let me do a quick recap. I started down here at the bottom with some ribbing, worked it in the round until I got up to the armholes. And then you'll remember I was debating, whoops, about how I was going to do this, the armholes, without having this striped effect happen. So you guys all left me comments in which you just gave me that little nudge because I knew what I needed to do. So I knit the whole body in the round. I steeked the armholes, so I cut. I just did this as one big tube up to the shoulders. I put some bust shaping in the front. I added in about 2 extra inches worth so that my front and back ribbing edges, when I have it on, it hangs straight. So I steeked the armholes, mattress stitched, the shoulders closed. I figured out the percentage of stitches, the number of stitches I wanted for my shoulder, what I wanted left open because I wanted I wanted a more open neckline. I didn't want it really nice and tight. Mattress stitched, the shoulders closed, picked up stitches around the armholes, started doing some decreases. I tried it on, measured the length that I actually needed to knit for the sleeve to get down to my wrist, did some row gauge. Started with the number of stitches I picked up around the top of the sleeve opening minus what I wanted my finished circumference to be inch-wise, multiplied that by my stitch gauge, gave me, I wanted 32 stitches. I think I started with like 74 stitches up here. I wanted to get down to 32, figured out how many rows I had to work with. Sounds like a lot of math, but once you've have done it a couple times. It actually it's very logical. And then I just figured out my decreasing. How many, I do decreasing rounds, so many plain rounds, decrease round, plain rounds, decrease round, until I got to the end. I tried it on a couple times. I knit a couple more rows of ribbing just to make sure that it came down far enough. And voila, a finished sweater. So back to the striping, because that was what I was concerned about when I was doing the body, was that I didn't want, if I had divided for the armholes and knit the front and back separately, I was afraid I was going to have wider stripes on the body. So I knitted in the round so that the striping stayed consistent throughout the body. I did the first sleeve because I thought, okay, now I'm going to run into a little problem because I'm still knitting in the round, but I am only like half the circumference as the body, which could make these stripes turn out a lot wider. Sleeve number 1 looked fine, and they are a little wider, but I was like, oh, this is not too bad at all. I'm totally fine with that. Started sleeve number 2, and it looks like I have stripes on this one, but short of actually cutting the yarn. So I was coming top down. So when I started to see this big wide band of blue, short of cutting the yarn and pulling out some of this blue and getting into here and like actually cutting it and joining it all the time to get a much more smaller stripe, it was like, that seemed like a lot of work. So I just decided, I really don't like how that looks, but I'm like, I'll just put it on and wear it. This is kind of going to be like my gardening sweater. I don't know. Might just pull on my weekend sweater kind of thing, right? Or who knows? Maybe I'll wear it to work tomorrow if it's still cold. Anyways, it is done. It fits. I like the length of the sleeves. I'm happy with it. So I am. My next sweater after this green one, I'm going to go back and do another gauge to garment, but I'm going to do a different shoulder method. I think I'm going to do a modified drop shoulder for the next one. But I'm just going to take a little break and I'm going to knit this green one. And that is all I've knit. I did all the other projects that I have started all these past few months. They sat. My poor flamingo sock is still not done. But I knit a lot on this to get these. Everybody talks about Sleeve Island because sleeves always take longer than you think. So, but I got my sweater done and I cannot be happier about how it turned out. So I think I'll work on this green one as I formulate a plan for what my next sweater will be like, because I think I'm going to do, pretty sure I'm going to do the modified drop shoulder, and I think I'm going to put some pattern in the body of the sweater instead of doing it plain. Whether that will be an all over pattern or maybe it'll just be a front panel, maybe it could be a side panel. I don't know. I think I'm going to do something a little bit more than just plain. So I'll think. While I'm knitting this green summer top, I will think about what the next gauged garment sweater is going to be like. That is all I have to show you. My basket is now empty. Well, not quite. I guess the other thing I was going to tell you is this sweater. Now these balls, this was James C. Brutt. I remember the name. The marble chunky yarn. And I think I knit it on, I think it was a 6mm needle. This is the needle I used. I think it's a 6mm. This is what I had left over of ball number 3. So those balls are big. Like they are 300 gram ball, I think. Something like that anyways. So I know when I think about the fact that it only took me like 2 3/4 balls of yarn to knit a sweater, that seems awful strange, but the balls are like really 2 balls in one. So I have this left. I have got a lot of this yarn left over. I can easily make another sweater. So I'm thinking that maybe what I have left in this marble chunky would make a good cardigan. So that is what I had left. So, yeah, it was actually, and it was not bad because it's 100% acrylic, pretty nice yarn. I had a couple people agree with me that it does split a lot because of how the plies, and I found a couple of times I had to drop back some stitches. I had to ladder down because I had split. Well, I think we did this once before, didn't I? Tried to kind of unply this, but I don't know, somehow, however it is plied, it's like there's 2 plies in there, and it is quite easy to split them. But other than that, I like the feel of it. It is actually a pretty nice acrylic. If you're looking for an affordable yarn that hopefully should wash and wear well, I think this would be something that I would knit with again. Well, I hope everybody has had a great week. Mother's Day was yesterday. So I hope everybody had a fun time celebrating, either with your own mom or with your children, or just had some quiet knitting time to yourself. Whatever made you happy for Mother's Day, I hope that you did it. Like I said, I got the surprise visit from my daughter. So, I mean, it was just a quick 5-minute wave basically through the glass door, and that was pretty much it. But she left me a nice little present, which was lovely. So I am really excited. I had a great knitting week last week. I mean, finishing a sweater doesn't get too much better than that, does it? So I'm excited for this week. I've got a new sweater, simple dishcloths to work on, and then I'll see, I've got my 3-color scarf. I've got to work on that because I'm really loving that. I'm really feeling a lot, I'm really motivated to do some color work. So this scarf is just kind of the kickoff of that, because it is color work. It is two-handed, it's ferrule, but there's no actual pattern to knit from, which makes it quite fun. So I hope you guys all have a fantastic week. Leave me some messages, leave me some comments down below what you're working on. Let me know about the size of your dishcloth. Are you somebody who likes something that's really, really big, or are you, do you have a certain size, or you find a little bit of flexibility in that? I don't know. That's kind of, I'm kind of curious about that to see what everybody else thinks. So I will chat with you in the comments, everybody. And if you want to tag some pictures on Instagram, you can use the hashtag NewStartMondayKnits. I check it once or twice a week just to see if anybody has started anything, and then I can like and comment on your pictures on Instagram and follow your progress along. I love chatting with you anywhere on social media, so I will chat with you all soon. Have a fantastic week, and I will see you back here again next Monday. Bye for now.